Hi, everybody. It's Joe Chaffee here, Fios One News, Long Island, and Fios One News, New Jersey. Mr. Rayo will be here shortly, as always, as he does a little housework before he gets here. He's with the Fios One News, Hudson Valley, and I know I'm competing with the NFL draft, so I was just thinking back to when years and years and years ago, maybe you read about it the next day in the newspapers, but you know, the competition is what the competition is. And I'm seeing some of the usuals and a few of the not-so-usuals are on this evening. Barbara Liebner is on, and Joseph Alloy. Good to see both of you here. And Trish Cucciaro. Say hi to Robert for me, Trisha. Philip Giacino. And we've got Mr. Fuller on, and Mr. Schwartz, and Timothy Veltman, and Ben Scott, and as I said, Mr. Rayo is doing his thing. Stephen Franco is on here too, Bob Mason. So good to see everybody on board here on a Thursday night. We've got a lot of volatility to work through the next few days in terms of the weather. Gert Hall, nice to see you there. You retired today from the IRS. Congratulations to you. So anyhow, we are going to have a lot of volatility over the next 3 days because we're going to see a system come up the coast with some rain for Friday. Looks like it's going to be about a 6-hour shot of rain, maybe even a heavier thunderstorm or two. And then after that goes by, we're going to start to play games with the temperatures as they go up on Saturday and go down, way down on Sunday, and then jump way up early next week. Isn't that right, Mr. Rayo?
Yes. I finished my house cleaning.
Yes, you did.
For those people who are wondering why it's always that you lead off and I come in like a minute or two later, what I'm doing is that as soon as Joe signs on with the show, I immediately take the link and put it on both of my Facebook pages, my professional page for Fios One and also my personal page. So this way, everybody, we increase the audience.
Right, which is, a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
We tried a couple of times with this machine behind me, and for some reason,
scary.
It just doesn't want to
right,
do it, so.
And I worked the technical program so that you could see all the pictures and the maps and everything. And, and Joe hasn't quite gotten to that point
I'm not
yet.
as technically inclined as you are.
All right. Well, I'm right now. I'm the director and the producer. You got top billing. Okay. So,
next to Howard Stern, you're the king of all media.
Oh, bless you.
No, the king of all social media.
Well,
so
we're climbing. What's the word I'm looking for? You exaggerate slightly.
No, we're climbing the scales.
Ever so slightly.
Everybody is watching. The number of.
They're all watching the draft inside. Yeah, I know. Sitting there like a bunch of hens around the television set. All right, so why don't we take a look at what's going on? We've got a pretty. It's kind of straightforward in terms of what's going to happen, but at the same time, it's also a bit complicated because you got so much energy running around. But first things first. By the way, I want to point this out because one of my regulars, Anthony Orr, who sometimes will show up here, but most of the time he's on my YouTube live stream. During the month of March, I was kind of astounded by the fact that there have been only 22 severe thunderstorm watches that have been issued by the Storm Prediction Center and 27 tornado watches.
Right.
Okay. In the month of March, where the average number of tornadoes during the month of March in the United States is 96, okay, they were all of 18.
Wow.
And the severe weather frequency in April is just as low. I mean, that's 80% below normal almost.
Yeah, but I think we touched upon this a week or so ago, and I just have this feeling that all of a sudden, all heck, for lack of a better word,
but Joe, but it has been a trend in recent years for the severe weather seasons over the last, in general, over the last 7 or 8 years, have been relatively subdued compared to what they had been before that. So it's very interesting with all the with all the chatter regarding weather extremes and the storminess. Here we have the whole argument about climate change, and here we have a situation where in terms of the number of severe weather and thunderstorms, it's actually decreased. So
right.
I don't know. Well, that's a story for another day. Right. But I just wanted to point that out. And here's the rain for tomorrow, by the way. This arc of moisture that runs from central Georgia through central South Carolina, North Carolina, and back into eastern Tennessee. It's not a big area, Joe. It looks to me like it's about a 4 to 6 hour shot of rain we get tomorrow. It's in and it's out.
Yeah, and I think we should pick up around 3 or 4 tenths of an inch. And in a more extreme case, and once again, one of our computer models, the RPM model, which all of you out there know better as the Futurecast because you see it on so many different stations. And the Futurecast a couple of days ago was going to town with the storm that we had, not yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes.
We had, and it was
predictions
of over an inch of rain and possible thunderstorms, and we didn't pick up all that much. And once again, now they're suggesting, the RPM is suggesting that maybe, just maybe, we might see a bit more than just 4 tenths of an inch, maybe somewhere around 6 or 8 tenths.
Yeah, I've been kind of saying between half and 3/4, and then maybe somebody, if they get into one of the heavier downpours, winds up, with an inch or so of rain. That would probably be more isolated than anything else. But I do want to at least show what's happening with regards to the whole setup. Beginning tomorrow and going through the weekend. Right. So I'm going to put up this map that I did earlier, and we have a really busy upper air pattern. But what keeps this from becoming one big major storm is that you've got all this energy in pieces,
right? And
nothing is phasing. Everything is out of phase. You've got 2 strong short waves coming down in the north. You've got one pretty good short wave and one weaker one in the south, but they're all going to stay separate.
Right. No teleconnection of any kind, and it's also very progressive. Of course, if any one of these connected together, it would slow the whole pattern down. And for a case in point, I don't want to jump the gun here because I know we're leading into Sunday. Sunday's just a one-day deal. It's not going to linger here for several days. We're going to have one big shot of unseasonable chilly air on Sunday, and no sooner is it in, it's out on Monday, and a couple of days later we're heading up well up into the 70s and even flirting with 80 perhaps.
Right, now here, this is the upper air for Sunday, which is a very, very cold, unstable upper low, that a deepening trough as it goes by. But as you said, it does set the stage. The depth of that trough also is reflecting the strength of the ridge behind it. So warmer air is going to get ready to move east as soon as that pulls out. What do you think about, I'm thinking maybe parts of upstate New York, like in the Catskills, they might see maybe some snow showers out of this, and perhaps in parts of western New England. But what do you think about, we were mentioning yesterday about maybe some kind of, isolated low-top thunderstorm popping up someplace?
Yeah, I still think that's a possibility. Again, and this is not the kind of scenario where, let's say on their day, well, let's see now, this is today, so it would have been day 3, the Storm Prediction Center.
Yeah, they've got nothing
for us, but again, what we're talking about, or what I'm alluding to, is something that's rather localized, late afternoon or early evening on Saturday, some shower activity, but also in 1 or 2 spots, maybe just enough instability to kick off one of these low-top convective cells, a bit of rumble of thunder, or and maybe even some hail, pea-sized hail, falling in a few places because the air is just so very, very cold that's coming in. I mentioned, Joe, to you that the 850 temperature, now we're talking about 4,500 feet above our heads, on Sunday will be something like 4 or 5 degrees below 0 Celsius.
Right,
that's incredibly cold for this time of the year.
Low and mid-20s.
And again, this is just this one blob or one area, and it's cold enough, and it probably will be unstable enough to, as you just alluded to on Sunday, kick off maybe some snow shower and flurry activity. And it's not going to be the kind of situation you get, let's say, in January or February. These snow showers and flurries will probably contain, very large flakes because of the time of the year, and I don't think we're going to see very much in the way of any sticking or an accumulation. But up in the higher terrain areas like the Catskills, like the Adirondacks, or even into western New York, maybe even a little lake effect taking place on Sunday. So it'll be an interesting weather day, and I think for us, at least in the Hudson Valley, low to mid-50s on Sunday, and we're only a couple of days away from May. This is ridiculously cool.
Saturday, I think, is probably the better of the two. Most of Saturday, the daytime, I think, is going to be just a mix of sun and clouds. It'll be okay until very late in the afternoon in western areas or early evening. So we should make it, I think, much like today, upper 60s to near 70, or even a few lower 70s as you go a little further south. But as you said, here's by Sunday morning, it's in the upper 30s and low 40s, and by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're barely back to low 50s here.
Right.
I'm sorry, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's upper 40s and low 50s, and then by Monday morning at 8 a.m., we're past the lows of the morning, obviously, but certainly would suggest there would be 30s and low 40s. And
it's going to be a cold night Sunday night, no question about that. In fact, we talked about this last night, questioning when the growing season officially begins in our immediate tri-state area. I know it started down over South Jersey and southeast Pennsylvania already, but it may be a case, like let's say if it started right now, there might be a reason to mention possible frost or freeze conditions for Sunday night, early Monday morning.
I'm looking at this, by the way. This is at 2 o'clock Monday afternoon, and the GFS has done this for a couple of runs, and I'm kind of curious as to why, but we were thinking it'll get into the 60s on Monday, but this is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it has upper 40s and low 50s from central New Jersey into southern New England. Now, it's got 60s in South Jersey, southeastern PA southward, and it also has 60s up in Canada, north of Lake Ontario. I wonder if there's is this clouds and a bit of a weak warm front of some kind? I don't know.
I think the hand-drawn progs had some kind of a upper level.
It actually has precip here. This is on Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
Before I guess before the cold air pulls out, it develops some showers, which I don't have in my forecast for Monday.
Neither do I.
Just so you know.
But I mean, it's so warm on the left over in central and western Pennsylvania, so this might be a bit of, dare I say, overrunning maybe.
Could be.
That's trying to take place.
Could be. And maybe that's why it's keeping it in the 40s and low 50s. And regardless, though, when we get to Tuesday, we're in the 70s everywhere.
Right.
So Monday might be a big question mark in terms of as we make the transition. But Tuesday, we're in the 70s. And Wednesday, this is again 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so you could probably add a couple of degrees to these numbers. We're upper 70s and low 80s just about everywhere. And by the way, that includes the shore areas. They may hold the sea breeze off until later in the day because there's a pretty decent west gradient here. And this is Thursday where everybody's like middle, and I'm trying to see, that's an 89 that it shows. I guess that might be Millville in South Jersey.
Yeah.
This Thursday, we might see the first spots here and there that get close to the 90-degree mark. I wouldn't be shocked, especially in Central and South Jersey. And then we might be able to squeeze out one more warm day on Friday before a cold front comes in, still into the 80s. So, it's a pretty straightforward forecast, I think, going beyond whatever happens on Monday. Monday might be the one tricky day here with clouds and maybe a little bit of overrunning precip until the warm air bursts in Monday night and Tuesday.
Actually, I would say that we've got not one but 3 tricky days because Saturday we'll be watching late in the day for maybe that isolated convection that might produce a little activity. Sunday, of course, an unseasonably chilly day. Instability may lead to a lot of clouds growing in the afternoon, and again, maybe flurry activity, maybe not in the immediate area, but snow showers and flurries north and west of us. And then on Monday, as we just mentioned, that possible overrunning or maybe that upper level trough, which would hold temperatures down because we've got cloud cover and we've got precipitation. So it's not really until Tuesday that we're finally out of the woods, so to speak.
Right.
And, home free with at least three warm days.
I got to do this. Hey, Arnold. Ray Arnold. How are you? I got to ask you, is your grandbaby here? Okay. I think Ray's daughter was supposed to have her baby today, and Ray was going to be a grandfather. He's beating me by 3 weeks.
Wow.
Ish. So, let me know.
I can't.
Okay. Congrats if when the baby gets here.
I can't fathom that, Joe. That you're going to be a grandpa.
Oh, you know what? I don't have...
The time flies after 40 some odd years.
It does. It really does. But I just want to monitor it in case he answers.
Wait a minute, but my friend Dennis Cassia, what did he have to say?
Where'd he go?
Cold on Sunday, good to have... Good old have to teach one. Well, good old have to teach. Dennis is a firefighter, and he trains young people in the basic art now of, learning how to fight fires.
Yeah.
So, and he teaches classes, and that's not. Why is it always that during the we always hear in all the other news outlets whenever it's exceedingly cold or exceedingly hot, there's always some kind of fire that breaks out, and you always see the firefighters in the winter they're covered with ice, and in the summertime they're sweating their wad off.
I know.
It's always that. It always seems that way.
Dan Ribicoff is on from the Steve Wilkos show. He does the polygraph tests.
Oh.
And he's a friend of mine, and he's probably back from jet setting from one part of the country to another. He's either here or he's in Boca, wherever he's going. But he's always having a good time.
I think that takes a certain amount of empiricism. In other words, you just don't look at the graph as the pen is going up and down. I mean, you have to know after a while, and work with it after a while to actually see in the various curves on the graph, whether or not the person is telling the truth or telling a lie or squirming.
Yeah, he knows. That's his thing. I watched him do it. It's very interesting, and he's a great guy. And they taped their show not that far from here because we're in Rybrook and they're in Stamford.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
And I got friends on one of the judge. I got hooks at one of the judge shows too. The People's Court one.
Yeah, yeah.
I have friends in there. So
Really?
Yeah, we could go see it one day.
Like the bailiff or whatever, or
No. Even higher up than the bailiff.
Okay.
I know producers.
Wow. That would be interesting.
Yeah, they produce. Bus a drive.
What do we have? We have.
We have to go. We have Judge Judy. But this is, I think, the People's Court, and someone I used to work with many years ago, Teresa Milano, who is now married, and she just had a baby, and I always called her Tessie. So when whenever I see her, she'll message me. That's kind of my signature,
Why don't we
nickname
go?
for her.
We go and watch the show. We sit in the back or whatever, and then when the person is presumed guilty or like that, we both stand up and say, "She's guilty."
Right. No.
Be like a Perry Mason
Right.
episode.
Isn't it true? What was that episode we were watching the other day where the guy just completely really hammed it up?
Right.
Just, I did it. Yes. I'd do it again.
The first episodes. For those of you who are Perry Mason fans, on MeTV, they are in the morning. The show that runs at 9 o'clock in the morning. They're literally only a few episodes in from the very beginning. I think it's tomorrow will be episode 4 in the first season. And it's so different from the later episodes because that show actually evolved with the passage of time or whatever. And if you watch Perry Mason at night, 11:30, I sometimes come home and indulge in that. They're up to the 7th season there, so you can see the contrast between.
Yeah, Perry in the first season, as I remember, I haven't seen the episodes. I had actually the whole first season at home. He was a much harder, I think.
Yeah. A
much harder character.
Right.
And then they softened them up a
and
little
much thinner too.
Yeah, well,
on passage of time.
All right, so look, let's leave it there, folks. It's coming up on 20 of 10. I got to get ready for FiOS 1 News Long Island and FiOS 1 News New Jersey.
And FiOS 1 News Lower Hudson Valley, and Lord knows, if we have a single snowflake somewhere in the Hudson Valley on Sunday, I think I'm going to kill myself.
That'll be nice. No.
I'm tired.
We have to get you to 62.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And and what was I going to say? Oh, Brian Fitzgerald and Jeff Banson. Yes, I know. I'm almost 60, Joe. I'm losing it right now. We'll have everything covered in the morning. And Addison Green, who is not on tonight, so he must have listened to me finally and went to bed early, unless he went to some godforsaken, I don't know, they were talking about some sci-fi movie thing. and he was going with one of the directors.
And Brittany Bohr, who I really don't understand this. She said she did a weather feed yesterday, and it had something to do with the movie Miss Congeniality, and the date was April 25th. And I have no clue because I never really watched that movie. But she said she was waiting for months to use this line that's in that particular movie, and she.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have no clue either. I mean, if it was if it's a line in a movie that was done prior to 1960, I probably know it. But anything that was done after 1960, I have no use for.
I'll ask her tomorrow.
All right, folks, have a great evening. Hope you didn't put your plants down. Wait till after Mother's Day, which is when you're supposed to wait to put your tomatoes down, okay? No, don't do it now.
Don't get caught with your plants down.
That's correct. Have a great evening. Nice, Joe. I just want... Okay, here's what...